Looks pretty good to me.
Can't wait to try that fucking French dip sandwich on one.
Alright, so one of the new items that we're doing is we're going to do a smoked French dip sandwich. So we got this pretty ginormous top around here that we're going to do some trimming on. We're going to take some of this excess fat and then just for cooking purposes, we'll probably split this in half and just have smaller chunks so we can get more smoke, more seasoning. All right, so with all this top fat and some of the silver skin, we're gonna remove. Not gonna cook as long. We're gonna try to get this to be hopefully a medium rare, if not rare. I don't think we're gonna be cooking it long enough to actually render that fat, so we're just gonna remove it anyway. And because it's not gonna be cooking as long, we want as much smoke on the actual meat itself and not that fat, because it's probably not gonna penetrate all the way through. And also, like I said, I'm gonna split this, so it's gonna be on less time than we would expect cooking this as a whole. This is kind of like the perfect sort of, smoked meat that you want. Same thing as a brisket, make those tougher cuts a little bit more palatable. And we're also going to be, chilling this and putting it on a meat slicer so we can get really thin slices so it's nice and tender. So obviously a different type of preparation for a brisket, but we're still trying to get a tough cut of meat to be tender, and I think barbecue is a perfect application for that. I guess this is the opposite of what we're kind of trying to do when we're trimming up a brisket, but it's a different cut, it's a different process. And honestly, it kind of feels good to take it all to the flesh. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, but for this process, it's right. So we're gonna split this in half right here. Now we're gonna season this thing heavily. Normally I'm just salt and pepper, but just to mix it up, we're gonna throw a little bit of garlic powder in here too. And we'll get a bunch of salt on here. Make sure it's almost looking white. We want to get as much of it as on as we possibly can. Some of it will probably fall off anyway. Don't really necessarily care about like doing the presentation side last, because this is all going to be cut thin anyway on a meat slicer. Technically, I guess whatever side you're eating is the presentation side. Last but not least, black pepper. This is one instance that maybe you might want to use a binder, because it is such a big piece of meat and you do want something to stick, and we are covering this pretty heavily, and we're doing all at one time. You guys know me, I like to do things in layers. It might not stick as well, but you know what, I don't got time to grab anything and I don't have time to let this sit, so we are just gonna wing it, and I'm sure it'll be just fine. Alright, so that's it, it's all seasoned up, and we'll throw this on the pit. Alright, we got our two top rounds split up in front. Alright guys, so we're almost at the finish line right now. I wanted to record a bunch of stuff for the smoker, but it got pretty dark pretty quick. The last thing I want to do with roast beef is we got it to internal to be like rare to medium rare. And then just because we want to get a little bit more smoke flavor, because we've talked about before, a different type of smoke flavor that you get in offset compared to on a direct pit or on a grill. And I want to get a little bit more of that like darker, smokier flavor. So we're going to take that, throw that into the grill, and just basically sear off all the edges on that roast beef to hopefully get a little different flavor, at least on the edges, and just try to maximize flavor as best we can. Alright guys, finally back inside with some lighting, so got that seared off top round. Alright, so we're done for today, but again, tomorrow we're going to come back. So things that I'm going to do before I leave, I'm going to wrap up all that beef in plastic wrap, and to hopefully have all the juices kind of hold together a little bit more until tomorrow, since we have to slice it. It's pretty good to me. Alright guys, so we're finally going to be assembling all the different pieces for our smoked French dip sandwich. And what we're going to be dipping our sandwiches in is this reduced beef stock made with a bunch of short rib bones that my friend Kelly, who helped me did this pop-up. That shake means it's going to be really good. Alright, while the jus is warming up, I want to prep the sandwich and all that kind of stuff. So I like to eat a little bit of the jus. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a Chicagoan and I like my sandwich dipped. I'm going to put a little bit of jus at the bottom just so it's nice and soaked, and we got that there. And obviously, when we throw the beef in there, it's going to be soaked anyway, but I think this is just out of habit for me. Next, we're going to lather this sandwich, both top and bottom, with this horseradish cream sauce. There's a little bit of mayo, sour cream, horseradish, and some whole grain mustard. Alright, the jus is nice and warmed up, so we're going to throw this beef in there. I'm going to dip that beef back in that jus, and obviously the color is a little bit grayer than what I would like, but that's just what happens. You put thin slices of beef in some hot liquid, right? And the last thing we're going to put on there is our caramelized smoked onions. So right there is a sandwich that we served at our pop-up. Obviously, it was a little bit bigger at the pop-up itself, but I'm making this for myself at home, so I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. We got this, we got the jus, we got the sandwich. Here we go, we got the dip. A lot of moving parts in this sandwich, but really I think in any sandwich, honestly, when you're constructing things, you have to make all these different components, but when you can find the right balance between getting the bread, the meat, the toppings right, it does really create something special. I said a lot of times too that sometimes I don't think smoke really carries through in certain dishes, or I don't necessarily think it makes something better. But I personally do think that this smoked French dip is really good. There is enough smokiness from the meat, especially from those onions. Like, all these components are kind of coming together to create this really, really good cohesive sandwich, in my opinion. If you guys got time, I would definitely try to make this dish. You know, smoke those onions. You know, the beef was really, really simple. The only thing I wish I had done is maybe season it more ahead of time. kind of dry brining it. Really the key is getting the jus right, getting the temp of the meat right. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.